What's up, my people? Welcome back to Vertical Football. Welcome back to another episode of the Manchester United Fans Corner. I'm your host, Shegun. Guys, it's always great to have you here. It's always great to discuss Manchester United with you. So, guys, today we want to celebrate 1 year of Ruben Amorim at Manchester United. As you know, he was officially announced to be the coach or to be the next coach on the 1st of November 2024. And from then till now, clocks a year. So, we want to discuss and give an in-depth analysis on his period so far at the club, the downs he has experienced at the club, the ups, the few ups he has experienced at the club. We want to look at what he's doing tactically now in terms of the squad and the team. And then we want to also look at, those things he's doing, how do they play well in the long run? We want to look at also futuristic plans that he needs to implement, at least in the next year of his stay at Manchester United. So, guys, let's discuss it. Let's go right into the points. The first point, I think, is talking about Amorim himself. I think Amorim, I really grew to respect Amorim more. And one of the main decisions he made that made me to respect him more was the decision to stick to his formation, to stick to his philosophy, to stick to who he is as a manager. I think for me, I respected him more because, I've said it many times. Right from after Alex Ferguson, I've explained the fact that I did not like, and it wasn't even a good thing for the club, where we acted in terms of our signing of our managers and the players we signed under them. It was not with a clearly defined idea from the likes of Mourinho to Moyes to the likes of Van Gaal and Erik ten Hag, even Ole. We had this structureless approach to how we went about signing managers for years. There was no identity. It wasn't made behind any philosophy or any idea of how football should be played. It was just about we wanted to get back to where we had been to win trophies, and we went that journey. And I think after Erik ten Hag, clearly you guys knew I mentioned and I said that the next Man United manager must be someone that first of all has a clear idea of how he wants to play, and secondly, must stick to his philosophy no matter what. And I think when he did that, that's Amorim, I give him more respect because, in the world of football, people, yes, fans matter, legends matter, the media matter. But I think we also have to remember ourselves the fact that when you start doing something strange, when you start doing something that is, it's not the ordinary, it's not the usual way of doing things. And when you fail, when you are doing that thing, people first of all will call you crazy. They will call you crazy. When it fails, you are crazy. When you begin to get a little bit of breather by little wins, they call you lucky. Because this guy is just lucky because he's won few games. This strategy just appears to want to be working. It's just lucky. And then when you go to the next level in terms, maybe you win a trophy with that same system, they say, man, this guy might actually be good, might actually be good. And then when you consistently win trophy, they call you a genius. When it doesn't work, it's madness. When it works, you are called a genius. And I think, and that shows you the nature of human beings in particular. When it doesn't work, it's easy, to say it's crazy. I think the only people that will stand out are people that call it a genius while it's not even still working, right? And that there are very, very few people. So for him to understand that people will say what they want to say and people can easily change their minds when we begin to win things with that system. So I think for him, I like the fact that he stuck with his philosophy so far, and I hope he continues to stick with the philosophy. And I know the next step for him is keep winning games. When you win your first trophy at United, they will say, this guy is actually good. And then when you consistently win, trophies in this club, they will call you a genius, And funny enough, they will forget at one point in time, they call it crazy. I used to say, for example, at Arsenal fans, a season before they finished second for the first time, they finished second up to now 3 times. The season before they finished second first time, they were all clamoring at the end of the season for Arteta out. Right? Get out of our club. We don't need you. Arteta got second. They became calm. And now it looks like Arsenal is turning towards the title. And there are some people that if you ever told them, they say at one point, they say never, I never said that. So that's human beings. But I think it's very good. It shows the kind of character he has sticking to his philosophy. And I think for me, that's what really I am impressed by. I'm impressed by someone that understands that, there will be noise, there will be noise, but I think you cannot control the noise, but control how you react to the noise. And I think I like that. So guys, let's go to the 3-4-3 system that he now implemented at United, at least the basic formation, because as I've said many times, football is flexible. The formations, the formations change. And I think people are beginning to see that where people say, okay, I think that's one of the things I'm happy about, that at least we are able to show to people the fact that you start 3-4-3 on paper does not mean that off the ball you cannot take a shape of 4-4-2, or off the ball you cannot take the shape of a 4-5-1 or a 5-3-2. You can take different shapes. It doesn't matter with your basic structure. So I think it's good that people are beginning to say these things, and I think that's a very, very good thing. But I think one of the things that I'm beginning to see about the 3-4-3 system is the fact that we will end up seeing a Manchester United squad when the right profile of players are brought into the 3-4 system. One of the major signs we'll see is that we'll end up seeing a United side that is much more dominant on the ball. The signs are beginning to show a little bit this season when the confidence is there for the players. And even in the last game, the idea of Nottingham Forest match was that instead of going to one end of the pitch, which I suggested, going to one end of the pitch, making Nottingham Forest clamp you there and then try to do quick switch of play to the other side, right? To beat that. Even though at certain moments they did that in the game. But the basic idea of how they approach the game was that instead of them crowding to one side and then using the other side, what United did was, let us try and pass it through them. Let's have that intricate passes through Nottingham Forest. And I think for a manager and players to agree to approach that game that way, it shows me that they have belief in how they can, hold the ball and pass the ball. Even though I know that game, the mental sharpness was not there, and that's why there were a lot of turnovers for Nottingham Forest. But I'm beginning to see that if the right profiles are introduced into the squad, we will have a situation whereby players will be more comfortable on the ball, which I'm beginning to see now, especially our midfield of the likes of Bruno and Casemiro not doing unnecessary long balls, even though they still have to be better on how they hold the ball. But I'm beginning to see that we'll be much more possession dominant when we get the right players in. I think, and that's very, very nice. And I think in a tactical view of the 3-4-3 system, I think I showed us the fact that the 3-4-3 system is a system that has its basic structure, allows for a lot of, third man passes because of a lot of diamonds and triangles that are being made in that system. So it's very easy for a player, for example, a midfielder, on the right-hand side of Brian Amorim's 3-4-3 system, to understand that I have two options here, right? I have the inside forward here. I have the wing back here, right? When I pass to the wing back already has me stationary where I am, has the right center back there. There are angles, and I think, thank you, sorry, that will allow for a lot of possession-oriented play. So the next thing I want to talk about is the technicality on the ball. I think we said that when Ruben Amorim came, that for the system to work, it needs technical players. And I think we're beginning to see the technicality in a few of the signings he's brought in, especially Matheus Cunha. I know Mbeumo also has that, but especially Matheus Cunha. In the fact that Matheus Cunha is someone that puts his head in difficult and tight spaces. And it's someone that, for some reason, we've seen it this season, how that it gets into tight situations, all of a sudden, like a slimy object, it gets out. So I think we're going to see that the technicality of the squad is beginning to improve. The likes of Mbeumo, the likes of Ahmad, the likes of Yoro, the likes of Cunha, the likes of already Bruno Fernandes. When you're even going to see Martinez that is back, the technical ceiling of this team is much more better. And I think with the introduction of more signings and the betterment of the already existing players, we'll begin to see that the technical ceiling of United will begin to increase. And coupled with the basic formation of 3-4-3, I think we'll end up seeing, as I said earlier, a very, very possession-based United side. So, the third thing I want to focus on is the mental battle. I want to focus on things outside, and then I now go to the departments of play. So, this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll go to the departments of play. The mental battle. I said it in one of our episodes that I feel the biggest battle for Manchester United this season will not be a battle of the formation, and I still repeat it here. I feel it will be the battle of the mentality. And funny enough, the Nottingham Forest game was a very, very important game because we had battled with a kind of mentality issue before the 3 games on a row win, right? And that kind of mentality issue that we battled with was the fact that the guys gave up too early. They didn't have belief in themselves, right? And when, for example, you are playing a game, you are playing well as United, but maybe the opponent scores us and the players just give up. That was the mental battle we had before the 3 games in a row win, right? After the 3 games in a row win, which was clearly now visible in the Nottingham Forest game, is that the mentality issue the players are having right now is the fact that which is not a bad thing, they expect to win games. It's not a bad thing, but they expect to win games without actually, which we can see in the Nottingham Forest game and must be tackled as soon as possible. We can win Nottingham Forest, but without actually doing the job that wins Nottingham Forest. So and I think that's a mental issue we have to face, and that's complacency. In the sense of, you can have the mentality that you're going to win this side, which is very good mentality. But big teams, what separates big teams from small teams is that big teams are laser focused. We're having Nottingham Forest next match. We can beat Nottingham Forest next match, but it's not going to stop us. We can beat them. We will go there committed, with desire, with passion, with every single effort, 100% every game to win Nottingham Forest. And I think that's what separates. The major thing that separates big teams from small teams is the fact that it doesn't matter who a big team faces, whether it is Manchester City, whether it is Arsenal, whether it is even the bottom clubs, the likes of, maybe you're talking about the likes of Nottingham Forest, for example, the likes of Wolves. It doesn't matter who we are facing with, we face it as a big team, and we should face it as Manchester United 100% laser focus, 100% running, 100% tackles, 100% commitment. The moment you feel I can give 100% here in this big game, but I don't need to give 100% in another big game, you will never become a big club. You will never become a big club. Every game in this league is 3 points. Yes, I know at certain moments in the season, certain points are more valuable than others, but at basic level, every game is 3 points. It doesn't matter if you win against Man City. Winning against Man City might improve your morale, your confidence, your ego, and everything, but it's still 3 points. Winning Liverpool is still 3 points. Winning Nottingham Forest is still 3 points. So a big team must be a team that approaches both games with the same commitment and the same desire. Now, let's go into the phases of play. Let's go to the stages of the play, the attack. I think drastic changes have been made to the attack in the 1 year of Ruben Amorim. But I think first point I want to make in the attack of Ruben Amorim is that the red zones of the 3-4-3 system, the red zones of Manchester United are beginning to show signs of positivity. I know against Nottingham Forest, I didn't like what I saw because there are some chances in the red zone, in the odd zone, that we should have taken better. But in previous games, especially Brighton, I'm happy with the fact that the red zones are beginning to show promise. The red zones are obviously the space before immediately in front of the box 18, right? The likes of chances that the likes of Kunwa scored a goal from there against Brighton. Mbeumo scored a goal from there. Sorry. 2 goals from there, against Brighton also, right? So the red zones are beginning to show a little bit of promise. And we must capitalize more on that. That's our strength. It's going to be a very, very, very big strength for us. Because when you're using inside forwards, you are trying to capitalize more on that red zone. So Mbeumo, Kunwa, the likes of Ahmad, Bruno Fernandes, even Casemiro, we are beginning to show good signs there in that red zone, but we need to take advantage more of that red zone. Against Nottingham Forest, we did do that, but that red zone is very, very important to take advantage there. Second thing is our seasons. I think our seasons have been terrible this season, and their seasons, as you guys know, is a side that helps not directly in front now, that creates a boundary in that box 18, the sides from the byline, and the corner side. We need to make more use of that. I thought we would do that, but I feel that sometimes it's a problem of delivery, right? In terms of cutbacks, we had a goal from there, I think against Burnley, Dalot to Mbeumo, but we need to take more advantage of that zone. We need to take more advantage of that zone. So I think the likes of Ahmad, the likes of Dogu, Dalot also has to make use of those places well, because we need goals from there. So our red zones also and their seasons need work. We need work. Our League Cup play can be better from Sesko. Sometimes I feel the link up. Yeah, I know against Brighton there was a link up that led to the third goal. But I also think that Sesko can improve on the link up. I've said it when we bought him. He has link up in his game, but he can improve on it. And I feel that sometimes the link up play comes at certain moments comes a seconds late, right? I see it because I'm like, he can do this a little bit faster, right? So, but this is what I'm seeing. It's not as if he doesn't end up making the pass, but it's just about the timing of the link up. And I think for me, it's going to improve on that. It's going to improve on that. And I think it's something to highlight that our link up play really has to be good. And I think we are beginning to odd things with the link up play, because when you have the likes of a tall Benjamin Sesko and you have the likes of Kunwa and Mbeumo, you can easily link up with these guys, either on ground, either on air, and make a dangerous pass into space for them. So it's very, 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 very good to see. So our attack can get better, and we should get better in terms of our red zones, in terms of our assist zones, and our link-up play. So let's go to defense. The defense of the team, I think we have a lot of positives there, but I think a lot of work still needs to be done in that area. I think first and foremost, let me talk about the fact that I like the fact that we are playing 3 at the back. For me, I've said it before, but I've seen certain games where playing 3 at the back affords us in certain games to be able to deal with long ball situations, right? We have a lot more defensive solidity when we deal with long ball situations. Yeah, I know there have been some slip-ups on the other end when it's based on the defensive transition, right? Especially when we're playing a high line, likes of Brentford's game, the likes of even the lack of defensive organizations at certain moments in the Manchester City game. Yeah, I saw that. But I feel that we have to do better in terms of how we'll deal with the long balls, which are actually doing a little bit better. But also, more importantly, how we deal with the transitions of the opponent with our 3 at the back and 1 pivot who is Casemiro. I think we need to improve on that. And I also know that it's a factor of profiles or personnel, because Harry Maguire, when you are playing a high line, can be a problem. But Harry Maguire, when you are playing a mid-low block, with a 3 at the back, is fantastic in terms of dealing with aerial threats and everything. But I think we just need to understand which game to use, which player, which I believe Amorim should have learned by now. And I feel that will be good. So that's in terms of our defensive overview, in terms of how we deal with long balls and transitions. But I also think also is the fact that we are using 3 fullbacks. And I feel sometimes I don't like the posture of the 3 fullbacks in dealing with a cutback, right? We go too deep. I saw that against Nottingham Forest also. We go too deep. And I don't like that. We're using 3 center backs. a left centre back, right centre back, and a central back. And I think we need not to go too deep, because when we go too deep, sometimes it's not as if the players we are leaving far off. It's not as if you are leaving them with players that are marking them. Sometimes those guys are free and they easily, beginning of the season, we considered a lot of goals from such situations where our defensive line was too deep into the box 6, right? And opponent had enough space to do us damage in the box 18. So we need to work on that. And I think that's something that really we should improve on it, and really will better our game. The another point on the defense for Manchester United is the fact that our central back row needs to take up more of the role, and I see the signs that Amorim is trying to implement. I think what he did also in Sporting, but the fact is that our central back, which is the CCB, which Matthias De Ligt or sometimes Harry Maguire, needs to be a personnel that is much more comfortable on the ball, acts like, a register in a way. And what does that mean? In the sense of the ability for that person to adopt that role of the register by pushing up into midfield, right? I know that's part of Ruben Amorim's philosophy in terms of at certain moment, and we've also analyzed it, at certain moments when the CCB pushes forward into the midfield, sometimes it forms a pivot with the DM in that equation, right? A double pivot like that, and then there is a CM like Bruno Fernandes that now becomes like a number 10 in that row, a traditional number 10 in that row. Or sometimes it could be that the CCB pushes into the midfield, and if the two midfielders actually now push up. I think we saw that against Brighton, where Bruno Casemiro pushed up, but not only did they push up, somebody either between De Ligt or Shaw was occupying the space they vacated behind them. So it was not like a 4, somebody pushed into, they pushed up, and that became like a single pivot. Sometimes it was a double pivot, or maybe Casemiro and another defender, or the defender alone, Bruno Casemiro pushes up. So I think we need to improve that. We need to be seeing that more in games, even in games where we're dominating, because it allows our team to have more pressure up. Sometimes it gives us a lot of dynamics in terms of how we can transform, which I know Amorim has mentioned many times, how we can transform our play as we go ahead the game. So I think that would be very, 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 very good. So I think also, the last point I want to mention on our defense is the fact that, I mentioned that we are too deep when it comes to cutbacks, but also, where the cutbacks are coming from, the space between the left wing back and the left centre back, the space between the right wing back and the right centre back, I think it needs to be a little bit more solid. I know it's better when we started the season. It's better now when we started the season, but I think it's something we need to still get better at. And sometimes I feel the communication between the left wing back and left centre back, or the right wing back and the right centre back, needs to improve. I know it's better than the beginning of the season, but it needs to improve. Because we don't want situations whereby teams operate in that danger zone. We need to create the way where we do not allow anybody to operate in that zone. That's the space between the left centre back, right, and the left wing back. That space, or the right centre back and the right wing back. We need to guide that space with our lives. They will let teams operate. That's a very, very dangerous zone. So I think this is, for me, is what I have for that defense in terms of, as I said, too deep when it comes to cutbacks, protecting that space between the left centre back and the left wing back, or the right centre back and the right wing back. I also mentioned the fact that our CCB needs to now become like a CDB, right? A central defensive back, right? A hybrid, someone that pushes up like what Pep did for the likes of John Stone. They push up into midfield. They can form either a double pivot under Ruben Amorim, or it can form a single pivot where other players push forward. I think which we have seen this season, but it's just that we have to get better at it and consistently show it in certain games to confuse the opponent and to create a lot of variability in our play. So let's go to the midfield. I think we clearly need energy in this midfield. I know the midfield is doing well against Brighton. It was a very, very tough act from the manager about the likes of Bruno Casemiro pushing up. But I think we need energy. It's clear. It's not just about buying a midfielder, but also the fact that we need a profile of midfielder, as I said, a combative, high intensity kind of midfielder that pushes this team forward. For example, against Brentford, I feel one of the problems we had against Brentford was we didn't have someone that could push us forward. I think against Fulham also, yes, against Fulham, we didn't have someone that could push us forward. And we have games like this where all we need is for someone to win the ball in a very good position, to recover the ball in a very good position, receive the ball in a very good position, and literally push us up. Not with a pass now, literally by running and push us forward. Someone that can, that can just be like a spear into the spine of the opponent and tap them open so that our players can also have the intensity to move. I think we need that. We really, really need that. And I think so that is something that we need to work on. So I think our midfield has improved. As I already said, there's a little bit more composed passing. And that's why even the last game, I know even the short passes also, you need to be switched on so that you don't have a lot of misplaced passes or a lot of turnovers for the opponent. But I think in terms of other games we've seen, we've had that control passing, which in my opinion, we still need to improve upon. Yes, I understand that. And sometimes to get to higher levels, you cannot turn the players available to that level. Some of them that have run past ages where they can make drastic changes to their career. But I think they can get better, but to increase the levels, we have to also get top midfielders that are comfortable on the ball, comfortable to use the ball, comfortable to play in tight spaces, comfortable to find passes in dangerous and tight situations. I think that's what we need to help us to keep the keep the ball, but to also play through certain defensive formations. So for me, the midfield, I think I have one more thing to say about the midfield before I go to the wing backs. But I think the midfield for me is also needs a squad, really. In terms of the kind of work we are asking our midfield to do, is a kind of work that we will need different kind of profiles of players. So I know, yes, Manchester United right now needs 2 profiles of midfielders fixed that we need, right? But there will be an episode I will do to show us a futuristic plan to our midfield. And I've come up with 5 profiles that I believe Manchester United should have in the squad at least in the next 2 seasons. I think we should have these profiles already in our squad. And I think because, different games come with different challenges and situations, right? So you want to have midfielders that can, that you can just say, okay, what challenge is this game going to give me today? Let me use this profile of player. What is this one going to give me tomorrow? Let me use this kind of profile of player. So guys, I think for me, the wing backs, I've said what I need to say about the wing backs also, but let me just reiterate it again at that point in terms of, I'm going to see, and I like what the wing backs are doing in terms of, being a little bit more narrow and compact, right? I think we've seen that this season where they're a little bit more narrow and compact on the defensive transition. And I think that also helps for teams not to have overload so much in the center of the park. It helps us to be able to be compact and then smartly push forward and widen. So it's not that we're like wide and they now have spaces in between us, but the fact that we come compact and then we smartly now begin to expand depending on the opponent's play. So I think that's very, very good about the wing backs. But I think the final delivery of the wing backs need to improve. I'm not going to just mention names, but I think all the wing backs need to improve in terms of crosses, in terms of cutbacks, in terms of the right combinations, in terms of the right choices. And I think more and more, I see videos of the training of United and they're actually training that. I think we begin to see those are some of the drills they are doing. But I think it's also going to be very good for them to improve on that. Let's have more combinations so that we can score more goals. I think we'll score a lot more goals when we have the right combinations that would help in terms of cutbacks, crosses, and particular and link up. So guys, this is our opinion on Ruben Amorim's first year. I think really I've gone through his own person. I've gone through the mentality of the club. I've gone through the 3-4-3 system. I've gone through the various departments in the squad: attack, defense, midfield, wing back situations. So I think these are the things I believe they are doing well, and these are the things I believe they should improve upon. So guys, let me have your opinion on what you think about what I've said. Do you think it's legit? Do you think it's what you are seeing also? Let's have that discussion in the comment section. I am owing you an episode, which I will do, which is the 5 profiles United needs to get before 2027, really, before 2027. So I think these are 5 major profiles that we should have in our midfield before 2027. So guys, or before the end of 2026, really. But so guys, let me have your thoughts on this episode in the comment section. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to share. I remain my humble self, Shegun. Until I see you next time, bye.